Hello, Shannon. I've missed you so much. It's me, your boy JJ Stone, aka O Doctor. It's been forever since I've been able to do a DocTales. So much so I forgot how I'm supposed to do it. You're not supposed to know the person. I'm supposed to start with myself first. I, Rust, you know what I mean? Just I'm gonna put some oil on my elbows, get myself together, and focus on what I'm doing. But DocTales is back. This person I'm bringing on. Normally, I got celebrity friends, I got affluent friends, I got like highfalutin people, governors, mayors, assassins, all kinds of specialty friends. This one is just a regular degular. This is just a guy that's a guy, he's a behind the scenes usually type of guy, just a regular guy. Hey, there he is. Say what's up to the people. Seamus.
What is happening? Thank you for the outstanding intro. I feel so good about myself now.
What's your full government name for the people out there in the streets?
I was born Anthony Robin Lemos.
Anthony Robin. Yeah. I didn't know your middle name was Robin. See?
Yeah. See? I was actually named kind of after the man who is supposedly my father.
Oh well,
his name is Robin Anthony. So my mom just switched it around because she didn't want to put no shit at the end,
So my brother has a different mother than me, and his mother wanted to name him after her father, and my dad's like, no, like you do middle names. So my brother's name is Jason Emery. Like you were gonna name your son Emery? Like, no. It sounds like a girl's name, and it's even as a girl's name, it sounded weird. So you definitely dodged a bullet that my dad stuck in right there for that one.
It legit sounds like a name that went extinct about 100 years ago in deep Mississippi.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if it's a girl or male or female. Like when I hear it on the interview or hear it over the phone, I'm like, Emery? Okay. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, then again, in the world we live in now, we can all be what we want, right? Yeah. He, she, they, it, we. I identify as me, for the most part, as a he.
And I identify as the worst of all of them. I am a cisgendered, heterosexual, married, middle-aged, white male. I am the worst of all like everything. Like I am the stereotypical piece of shit. Like that's
what's your eye color?
Green.
Oh, you ducked the blue-eyed devil though. You ducked the blue-eyed devil. You just, that's your differentiator. The green eyes set up for you. So
and it's really more of a hazel. So I'm not even like in the I can't even get pigeonholed into that Irish thing. It's just, And for the record, I am 2% Nigerian. So I don't know what that does for me, but at least I'm not completely a piece of shit.
So when you did a DNA test, right? Which one did you use? 23andMe or
both? Okay. I did Ancestry.com and 23andMe. Both of them came back at 1.8% Nigerian.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I haven't done it yet because I don't want to give the government any extra free DNA of mine yet.
I was in the military for 24 years. They've already got all my DNA.
Oh, they definitely got your DNA.
They've changed my DNA several times now.
So, just to describe our friendship, because I like to do that in the show. We met at South by Southwest.
Yep, several South bys ago. Yeah, 2014 or so.
And we, I don't know if we knew each other before that first South by. Like knew each other, like we knew of each other, right?
Yeah, we had chatted online in different forums, but we hadn't actually met in the meet space before that. So
because at that point, like I was on different shows and you were watching different shows, so we were just like fandoms of different things, like running across each other from me being on shows or being in the chat. So like I knew of you, so when I met you, I was like, hey, like you know what I mean? Yeah, finally get to meet the person. Yep. But we got to hanging out. Very like mindset. We are guys that like to have fun. And we like stupid stuff, but we hate stupid people.
Yes. Yeah.
we're all about, goofing around and having fun, but at the same time, once it gets to the point where you're actually dumb. Like, we're over here playing dumb. You're actually dumb. Once I get to knowing that somebody's actually dumb, I got a huge problem dealing with those situations. But like, if we're just joking around and having fun, that's just being a good adult.
Yeah.
And
that's just enjoying life at that point. But once you get to, and I think the differentiator is, you can be all the asshole you want to be. You can be as funny as you want to be. You can be as non-conformist as you want to be. But as soon as you start inconveniencing other people, we've crossed the line.
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's and again, we're both like-minded in that respect. And then on top of that, now being friendly, we've worked on projects together. We've done shows together in the past, and you are what's the word I want to use? Anal retentive person.
Yeah.
I'm a free-flowing spirit.
I'm a little OCD, yeah.
Yeah, and it works out. Like I always tell people all the time, like, you got to find somebody to be the yin and your yang. You know what I mean? You tell me it's got to be A, B, and C, and I'm like, if it works, sure. And then you come back and you're like, well, I was messed up. We're going to change it to C, B, and A, and I'm like, sure, because whatever makes you happy. If it's getting done, we're getting done, and we're good about it. So, we've been friends for a good 8, 9, 10 years now, rolling on. It's been a while.
Yep. And something else, I think on the creative side, we're both very creative people. We have different visions of what we like, but we're both we both like enjoy the process of creating. It's not just a end result kind of thing. We both like to talk about and discuss the tools we use and the processes and how we're getting the results. Even if it's the result we didn't like, we can still enjoy a conversation about how we got to that result. And then on top of that, we're both people that, like, we take ourselves just seriously enough, but not too seriously.
Like I said, having fun, but being dumb, but not actually being dumb. So for anybody who hasn't watched one of these episodes, or if you haven't watched in a while, this is where I bring on one of my friends. I ask them enough questions that I can get past all their security questions for when I inevitably steal their bank accounts, credit, social, and identity. So let's start with that. Where were you born at, Anthony Robin?
I was born in Lafayette, Indiana.
Oh, middle of the country.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
How long did you stay there growing up?
About 3 months before my mom jumped ship and flew to California to get away from her abusive husband.
Well, that's good for 2 reasons. 1, got out of an abusive relationship, and 2, got out of an abusive community. Because I don't like to judge Middle America much, but my goodness, there's for it being like the middle of the country. Yeah, everybody always. It's really just a crappy place to be. Like, the middle of the country is not where you want to be. Like, the middle south isn't where you want to be. The middle north isn't where you want to be. At least if, like, you're in the upper corner, you're in Montana, it's just beautiful. Like, you know what I mean? It's just beautiful. But Indiana, like the Chicagos, the Annapolis, the Kentuckys, like all the things over there in the middle.
Yeah.
The Dakotas, I lump them in with you too. Like, just weird places over in the middle.
The whole Mississippi Valley, Valley is just, you don't really want to be there.
Yeah. I mean, when you cross that line, you want to keep on crossing. You don't want to stop.
Yeah. Then we went to California. I basically grew up in California for the most part.
When you were in school, what kind of student were you?
Bad
grades.
Bad grades. I was either too smart for the class and didn't want to do the work, or I was too stupid to understand what the work was even about. Like, there was no middle ground. I was never an average student. I was pulling A's and D's. Those are the only grades I ever got. Like, just enough to pass or completely destroying this class. One of those two. That was it.
Athlete. Were you an athlete?
No
sports.
I did. So here.
I mean, not for nothing. You're a grizzly bear. What are you, 6'2"?
I am 6'2".
6'2".
About 230. Yeah.
Yeah. You should have been playing sports.
You're right.
How did no coach just run up and say, "Here, hold this stick and swing it at the ball"? Like,
so my mom had me in t-ball in first grade.
Okay.
And I played right field. And that lasted until one day I was literally watching a butterfly and got hit in the head with a fly ball.
God. So
yeah.
I coached a kid that's literally said in practice, I was like, "Why aren't you running with everyone?" He's like, "Do you see those butterflies? I'm watching butterflies." And then his mom asked, "Why wasn't he playing?" And I'm like, "Your son is watching butterflies and fireflies. He doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
He's only here because you bring him here. He does not care. It's actually dangerous for him to be out here on this field because he doesn't care. So no, your son isn't going to start. No, your son isn't." Gosh.
Yeah.
So you were a butterfly kid. That's that.
And to be honest, I think I was actually paying attention to the bees because not long before that I'd gotten stung and it kind of traumatized me a little bit. But either way, I was watching the floating insects in the air around me instead of watching for the ball, and that damn ball hit me right on the side of the head.
Gosh.
Yeah. And that was the end of my t-ball career. And
you got through high school without sports?
Well, so here's the thing. You can either be athletic or you can be an athletic supporter.
Okay.
And I was always one of the biggest athletic supporters around. Like
were you mascotting? Were you cheerleading? Like what is this supporter thing? Were you the water boy? Were you a manager?
For example, in high school, back in Indiana, I'd moved back by this point. My best friend was a trumpeter, and my girlfriend was a flutist.
Okay, band. All right.
Yeah.
Band
so
something.
I sat between them, and the cheerleaders on the field would refer to me when it came time to hype up the crowd. Like I was the in-stand cheerleader that would get everybody hyped up, stuff like that. The cheerleaders would take off my cue and be like, "Okay, he's starting to yell about this. We should do this particular routine or whatever." That's what I was doing, even though the football team sucked ass.
You were an MP3 hype man DJ.
Yes.
How is? I need video footage of this, of you just saying, "Pump it up, pump it up." Like I can't believe that. You are a grizzly bear. How did no one make you play something? And you're a glorified non-dressed mascot. You didn't even get to wear a squirrel suit or nothing.
No, I will tell you the lead reason why I wasn't in either percussion band or in playing sports itself is because we grew up broke. And it's hard to buy equipment and things like that when you don't have the funds.
Yeah. Finances are a thing. But when you get to high school, they're paying for everything. Like I said, that's why I said I'm surprised the teacher didn't just walk through the hall and be like, hey, you're 5'11", you're 9, come play on this, because it's just interesting. So
I did play center forward on the 6th grade volleyball team, and then broke my ankle 2 days before the first match.
Apparently you're not athletic. That's why nobody wanted to bring you out. They saw you walking. They're like, look at that 6'2" weirdo stumbling down the hallway. We can't give him a ball.
And think about it from this point of view. I'm not the lead guy you want in the front of the crowd, but I make an excellent hype man. Like you got to know your role, man. You got to know where you fit, and that's where I fit. I fit as in that lead support cast.
You have disappointed me greatly, and I'm very upset with you.
It's not the first time.
Did you? It's really not. So, any fights in high school?
Lots of fights.
Give me a good fight story.
Oh, okay. I'm standing at the bus stop, and there's this one kid who I was in 5th grade. This dude was in 4th grade, and I had been talking on the bus ride to a girl in my class who was very pretty, but she wasn't like hot. Even for 5th grade, she wasn't hot. She was pretty. But her and I both had an interest in cartoons or whatever the hell cartoons we were watching at the time, like G.I. Joe or some shit. And we would talk about those on the way to school. Well, this kid decided that was me hitting on his girl, and decided to get with a bunch of other kids and come to our bus stop one morning and start talking some smack. And I was like, dude, you are out of your mind, whatever. He pushes me. I did not notice that one of his friends had gone on all fours behind me. So I immediately tumbled down.
They did the move on you.
Yep,
they hit you with the move.
And then I was getting punched and kicked by about 4 kids. I finally fought my way back up, only to turn around to find this kid, and his fist was already on the way to my nose. Popped me pretty good. Didn't break my nose, but did mess up the cartilage. So now my nose is a little lopsided-y. And that kind of ended my career in 5th grade. Luckily, that was the last grade of that school, because I was then known as the 5th grader who got his ass kicked by a 4th grader. Nobody ever mentioned the other 3 dudes that were helping him, or the fact that he was like a purple belt in karate or some shit. So
okay. I know you don't do this much, but when it goes through the story of someone asking you about fights, you don't pick the one where you lost. Okay. If you've been in multiple and I ask you, you say multiple, and then I ask you to give me one and you give me the one where you were jumped. The whole premise of whenever somebody gets bent over someone else, I'm thinking to myself, what kind of punk are you to be like, hey, Johnny, you know what? I need you to get down on all fours like a dog when I go to 3. All right. When I hit 3, I need you to get down on all fours because I'm about to roll. All right. Now, when you see this, I need you to move, Johnny. Like the fact that they had to have that conversation.
Right.
To get that set up to go fight somebody. And then they jump you on top of it. And then, like you said, oh, you know, because kids are, oh, you got whooped. I'm like, you jumped me and you tripped me. Like you don't get any credit for that. Like, you know, but again, how kids are, but yeah.
Yep, but I tell you that because there's only 2 fight stories. There's that one and several derivations of it, like derivatives. There's probably another 5 or 6 times because I grew up in Southern California, like as typically a fairly token white kid. Like there wasn't a whole lot of other white kids living around me in the area. So when I did get in fights, it was usually because I had smarted off and somebody brought them and all their friends to come whoop up on me. Whatever, I survived. You know, I never got shanked. I learned to run fast, and I learned that if you get surrounded by a bunch of dudes and you take out the biggest one, if you with a sucker punch, the others kind of give you enough time to get the hell away before they realize what even happened.
So if you've watched any DocTales, and anybody who has watched some, I've told this story, I'm sure, before, because it's one of my favorite stories, but this directly correlates with your story. And since we're rebooting the show, I'm going to bring the story back up again. I too was a smart mouth in school. Believe it or not, as big as I am, they used to call me Ethiopian boy. I used to be so skinny and thin that like they used to call me Skeletor and all kinds of bony, jokes and things like that.
So you're saying you need that shirt that says I beat anorexia.
Yeah, pretty much. So I would just imagine me being bony and just having to use my wit more than usual and making fun of people. And there's a kid, his name is Teddy, and his nickname was Sonny, which I thought both of those were punk ass names. And so again,
wait, his name was Teddy.
His name was Theodore. They called him Teddy.
But, and then they were like, hey, we got to fix that. We got to come up with something better than that. And they've settled on Sonny.
And so his family called him Sonny. And so this is a story about how even worse than that. My nickname as a child and my whole family, like 90% of my family, if you said, oh, where's Owen? They'd be like, who's Owen? Like they don't even know my first name. My family calls me Buzzy. It was the first word I ever said. And my dad called me Buzzy. So everybody called me Buzzy. In school, when they took me to school, they wrote down that my name was Buzzy Stone. So up until the 5th grade, I was Buzzy Stone, which leads to Buzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Buzzy Wuzzy had no hair. Buzzy wasn't fuzzy. Buzzy Wuzzy. Anyway, so Teddy, Sonny, starts singing the Buzzy Wuzzy song on the bus because I got off the stop with a girl and I walked her home because she lived on the same street and I just walked my way home. And he was mad because I was smart enough to say, hey, I'm gonna go spend some more time with this girl and then just walk home. So for like 3 days, he had the whole bus chanting Buzzy Wuzzy was a bear, Buzzy Wuzzy. And so I think like the 4th day, as I'm leaving to get off the bus, I just smacked him in his face and I ran off the bus. And then again, how kids are, like in your situation, they're on the bus looking in the window like, oh! So the next stop, like 10 kids get off the bus. Like he gets off, all his friends get off the bus. Now, it's not that I don't have friends, but there are certain things that like where they'll be on somebody else's side. Like, oh, I hit Teddy, so I'm against Teddy. So now I see them getting off the bus at the next stop, which is down the street, and I start hauling it home. Boy, I'm muscling to get home. And now they're all chasing me down to the house. When I get to the house, that was a time where, you know, I didn't have a key to the house because I was too young, so I had to like bang on the door for my dad to open the door. My dad opened the door, and he's like, what's wrong? Why are you? I was like, let me in the house. There's a whole bunch of people coming. Let me in the house. And so my dad said, oh, you out here fighting? And I was like, Dad, I'm not fighting. I'm just trying to get in the house. So my dad shuts the door and leaves me outside.
Yes.
No. He shuts the door and leaves me outside. And I'm kicking at the door, trying to look at them. You know what I mean? Now, I lived on the way the porch went. I had like, there's like 5 steps to come up to the porch area before you go to the door. And so they're all sitting there like, oh, come down here, whatever. And they're like, dude, I'm not coming down there. And Teddy's like, oh, we're going to jump you. And then I guess my dad heard that he said he was going to jump me. So the door opens and my dad just hands me a broom and says, all right, if anybody's going to start jumping people, go ahead, hit them with this broom. Go ahead and defend yourself. They want to jump you. Here you go. You got something. If they want to jump you. So I'm holding the broom and I'm swinging it, and then everybody left. And then I was just like, you just going to leave me out there? He's like, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? You got to deal with it. If they don't get you today, they're going to get you tomorrow. You know what I mean? At least this way, they know that, yeah, they shouldn't be jumping you. Like, if you wants to fight you, you can kick a fair one. But if they want to jump you, then just let them know that's what it is. And I never ended up fighting Teddy because they knew that my dad was down. You know what I mean? Like, if he would have gotten a fight with me in school, he'd have been in trouble. Sonny would have been in trouble. Yep. My dad would have been like, yo, them kids came to my son's house. They tried to jump my son. He defended himself. And it de-escalated itself. So I got a free smack on Teddy for free because he buzzed me. But I almost got jumped real bad. And my dad let me sit out there too, like I was supposed to take it. I'm like, yeah, this dude shut the door on me, like sticking the dog out the window of Fred Flintstone. I'm like, how you gonna leave me out here at this point?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the other fight story I have was in 6th grade. Fighting over a girl. Her name is Shannon Danielle Martini. We'll never forget that name. First girl I ever kissed.
That's a good name.
She's now, I believe, well, last time I heard anything about her from like, you know, Facebook groups and stuff like that, she was somewhere in Washington, married to a woman and she has kids. So
turned her right around. I know what you did.
I did. But I mean, you know, if I can give her a jump start on where she needs to be anyway, more power to me.
Good for you.
But anyway, this kid Byron, I believe it was Byron. I don't remember his last name. He had just recently started dating Shannon, and her and I had broken up not long before. And apparently one of my many comments was misconstrued in a fashion that he did not approve. So we were out at lunch one day and he said, I'm gonna get you today. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, you've been saying that for like a week. I don't even know what the hell y'all talking about. Like, bring this shit. Let's go. And he came up to me out on the field. He decided to do the stupidest thing ever, which is to try to sneak up on me, because I'm not a person you can easily sneak up on out in the open. Like, you've got to have a gimmick to get up on me. So he comes up behind me and he tries to grab my coat. And of course, as soon as he does that, I just slip my coat off and I'm facing him. And he proceeded to try to whip my ass. That did not work out very well for him. He was basically just, it was like the most chaotic flurry of punches and kicks I'd ever witnessed, and none of them landed. So I just came in with it was ridiculous. He had all the fury, none of the gusto. I came in and just brought my right hand up under where I thought his chin might be. It turns out his chin was there, and he ended up with a bloody mouth, because I don't know who fights with their mouth open and their tongue sticking out, but he did. That ended that fight pretty quick.
Yeah, that's how you bite your tongue off. That's not.
Yeah,
That's not.
yeah.
That's
That
not
that
fun.
ended. I mean, I was a scrawny kid. I couldn't have hit him very hard. I put everything I had into it. It couldn't have been too much damage, but it was enough to end the fight. And they pretty much left me alone from that point on. So those are my two fight stories. I got the one with all the times that I've either been jumped or escaped getting jumped, and the one time that I actually had a fair fight and ended it with one punch. That's the only two fight stories I got.
So we know now who your first kiss was. How many proms did you go to?
None.
You didn't go to prom. Your high school your life as high school is tragic. This is tragedy. You were a DJ hype man. You didn't go, and you said you had a girlfriend, and you didn't go to no proms.
Nope.
Was that also a financial decision?
Yes.
Okay, I can understand it more when you're broke. I understand being broke. Being a guy, all you got to do is rent a tux and hand a condom and say, "Don't go to jail, don't get anybody pregnant." Girls are like, you got to spend $9 million to send somebody to prom.
Yeah, no. So I went out both prom nights, junior prom and prom night. I went out. I was dating the same girl both times, although it was different relationships because we had broken up in the summer between. The first time we just went out and hung out with a bunch of our friends because we, small town in Indiana. It's only 300 people, whatever. Like you kind of know everybody. So we had like a anti-prom, just hang out, little bonfire, that kind of thing. And the senior prom, instead of going to prom, we actually went into town and had dinner and then had a little playtime in a hotel and then went home.
Yeah, it sounds like you were living in Smallville. That's what it sounds like to me. Sounds like you were living in Smallville. And
so,
I mean,
but
those
either one.
Yeah, you had 2 fun nights, and I mean, some people only go to half the prom anyway and try and skip out to go get drunk and have some fun time anyway. So I get that. So let's fast forward to after high school. What'd you do? Did you hop right into the military? Did you go to school? Yes. What happened? Right into the military.
Well, important thing we're missing here. I graduated class in 1995 and a half.
And a half.
And a half.
You see, did you drop out early or did you stay extra?
I failed my second semester school? Senior year English class by 1 point. So I had to go to summer school to make up for it. Yep.
That's terrible. If you're listening on audio, if you're listening on audio, I just sat back in my chair and threw my head up because
I literally missed it by 1 point.
Senior year summer school is just basic torture.
Someone
could give you a point. Like they're looking at the transcript. She could just say, "Here's a point." Nope. My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. And our final was a 4-year cumulative final. It covered all 4 years of high school. And of course, I was only at that high school for 2.5 years. So, I didn't even do a lot of the reading and stuff like that. Final was worth 100 points and there were 5 extra credit points. I needed to basically get all 105 points. I got all 5 extra credit points and I got a 99 on the test and missed it by 1 point. Missed the final grade by 1 point.
Wow.
Yeah. And I hated English class. So how I pulled that grade out of my bum, I don't know, but that's what happened. I missed it by 1 single point. The principal pulled me out of final graduation practice to let me know that I had not passed my English class.
So did you get to graduate with your class or
no? Did not get to walk. Yeah. So went to summer school. There were 4 seniors in summer school. Only 2 of us stuck around to graduate, and I had the higher GPA. So I was the valedictorian of the class of 1995 and a half.
You're so far. We're halfway through the episode. So far, your life story sounds like someone who should be in jail right about now. Okay, you sound like. You're telling me tales of frustration that either build character or tear a man down. You moved a lot. I wasn't part of a team atmosphere. I was a woo hype man without a costume. I didn't hit up any proms. You know what I mean? I got Bart Simpson in a fight. Like this is a very sad tale you're giving me. If I'd have known this before, I'd have sent you some virtual hugs. It sounds like some stuff going wrong in your lifestyle over there. All right, so senior and a half, you graduate. Then what do we do? What's the world looking like for you? What are the options?
Options are park bench outside the local bar, working at in the agriculture field, which was all seasonal work for minimum wage, $4.25 an hour for 12-hour days in the damn cornfield in the Indiana summer, not having a job at all in the wintertime, or going to college, which I knew that was not going to happen. So I joined the military and zoomed right out of there.
What branch of the military did you join?
Air Force.
Now, let me tell you something. My father was in the Air Force. Anytime somebody says anything about military, I tell them, if you're not joining the Air Force, don't you go in the military.
Right.
And my one friend, her son was like, oh, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to go to the military. And I usually don't intervene with other people's children, especially when they got their mind made up. I'm joining the Army. I sat down and told this kid that I've only met twice in my life, bro, you don't want that. You ain't about that life. Go in the Air Force. Listen to me. Don't do it.
Yep.
Join the Army. Now he's trying to get honorably discharged. He's been in there a year and a half and he can't stand it. And I'm like, I told you. The Air Force is a different mindset. My buddy, I won't even say his name now because I'm about to bash the military. But my buddy asked the same thing. And I told him to go in the Air Force. He's been in the Air Force. He loves the Air Force. He's very happy with it. Again, he's not a robot. That's the problem with the military. You want to go in the Army? It's shoot what I tell you to shoot, do what I tell you to do, breathe how I tell you to breathe, think how I tell you to think, and be a grunt. That's all you're here to do. You're basically labor if you're in the Army. If you're in the Navy, Navy's kind of like a technical grunt. Like, hey, we got some highfalutin stuff out here on the sea, but we need to have a little bit more mental fortitude because you're gonna be wishy-washy on this water. You know, Marines. Hey, most of y'all ain't got the stomach for it.
Nope.
Most of y'all ain't got the stomach for it. So go ahead and try it and then wash out and then go back to being a grunt because that's usually what happens. The Air Force is like, hey, you know how many jobs that the Air Force does? The Air Force is like the backbone of the military. You come over here, we'll get you an engineering job. You can fix the planes, do the satellite stuff. You can fly drones. You can fly a plane. You can there's a whole bunch. There's like 32 different things that are ancillary to the whole military that you could do when you're in the Air Force.
Yep.
Like people think the Air Force is you go to the Air Force, you fly planes. No, sir. No, sir. You go in the Air Force, you're doing a whole lot of different things for all the other branches.
Yep.
My dad was in the Air Force. He spent half his time on aircraft carriers. He wasn't in the Navy, but he was an engineer, the guy that worked on the jets. So sometimes he'd be at land, sometimes he'd be at sea. So the Air Force, in my mind, is the best branch to be in. So when you first started out in the Air Force, what was your first gig, or what was your first thing you were trying to do in the Air Force?
Well, I wanted to come in as a security forces so that I could get out, go to police academy, and come out of there, get us elected as sheriff, and then take that to being mayor, governor, and all the way up to president. Like that was my goal. That's what I wanted to do.
From a senior and a half, had dreams of going into the Air Force, coming out as sheriff, mayor, governor, president. And when he stood before all of you, he would have said, I'm abolishing English in the public school system. I've worked my whole life to get to this point, to cut all funding for English in the public school system. I am here. Funding is cut. I'm out. That was just, you were a supervillain, is what you're telling me. That was your supervillain.
That was, in fact, my entire platform. Restructure the school system. Math only, no term papers. Just done.
So what foiled your evil plot?
My recruiter convinced me I didn't want to be security forces, that I should go into something more mentally adept to my intellect. Based on my ASVAB scores.
And what did that end up being?
Well, I wanted to work on computers. If I couldn't be a cop, I was going to work on computers. And they said, okay, well, that's electrical. So I joined the electrical field. The electrical field is not where the computers are. Those are in the general or the admin field. I went into the electrical field, got in there, and they said, you're going to be an aircraft mechanic. And I was like, sucks. Okay, let's do this.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So my dad was always a handyman. He was always a mechanic. So he didn't mind the mechanicking part of it. And then
I honestly, I didn't mind working on airplanes. I didn't like working on airplanes when it was like 30 degrees, snowing sideways, and just wet everywhere, freezing cold. Meanwhile, I'm getting the same paycheck as that jackass over there in finance who's only working 8-hour days with a lunch break in the middle in an air-conditioned or heated office with his shoes kicked up on a desk, not doing half the shit that I was doing. Meanwhile, I'm working 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week, missing holidays and shit. Also, some zipper suited sun god pilot could fucking fly 3 weeks from now. Like it was just, that was the irritating part is aircraft maintenance takes the brunt of everything, and it was bullshit.
And that's the thing that people forget and don't realize. There are so many different jobs that you're doing that you could do.
Mm-hmm. And everybody gets paid the same.
Everybody gets paid the same. Where was the coolest place you ever got stationed?
Cool. My best assignment was South Korea, Kunsan, South Korea. It's a location where you can't take your family, so everybody that's there is there by themselves. We are all missing our families, and we have a real world job to do, and that is to deter attack by the North Koreans. Gives you a real sense of camaraderie, a real sense of pride, and a real sense of mission, so that when whatever leader happens to be up there at the time starts getting his panties in a wad, you are you're not practicing anymore. You're loading live ammunition on airplanes, and you have a number of hours to get a certain number of airplanes in the air with live ammunition ready to rock and roll with as little as 30-minute notice to get started. And it didn't matter if you were drunk or asleep or hanging out in a different city entirely. Like you went in there and you got the work done. You put airplanes in the air, and you told North Korea, no, not today.
Worst
assignment by far was Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. Yep. Yeah.
I love that chicken from Popeyes.
A lot of personal stuff went on there, and the assignment itself sucked. Working on B-52s sucks. The people there, it was toxic up one side and down the other. And the only real friend I had there, well, I guess I had a couple friends there, but the one that I was closest to couldn't tell the difference between a rum and Coke and a rum and rum. That was just how he lived his life. And awesome dude, absolute racist, and that matters because, as you know, I am married to a black woman, so that was we got along great until he got too drunk and started spouting off shit, and I was like, no, and I had to cut that off.
And so there's something to be said about that, right? Because again, I'm not white, but I have white friends that sometimes I've had conversations with where they're just like, well, why can't I just say the N-word? It's not a big deal. And slavery isn't a thing anymore. Why is it still a big deal? And I'm like, it's not that you're a bad person. It's not that I want to be mad at you. Like, you need somebody to tell you. And sometimes you're asking and coming from a good place. But at the same time, it's like you should instantly already know better. So when you meet a guy like that, like you're saying, like, hey, we're friends. Now, I know that you're messed up, but you're good to me. And I'm not really seeing you be bad to anybody else. Now, I know that you have that part of you, but I don't see it. Mm-hmm. But once you see it, you're like, well,
you can't unsee it.
Dang gummit, Billy. We were doing so good, Billy. You were keeping yourself under control. You weren't bothering nobody. Now, I knew how your mindset was, but you wasn't bothering. Now you're out here talking all willy-nilly, Billy, and I I can't let it slide now. You know you're wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and as a white guy, it's got to be rough because, like, I have a friend who has black siblings through adoption, and he's in a fraternity, and he's like, dudes that are just cool, just pop up one day and be like, N-word this, and I can't believe that N-word tried to talk to me, and look at that black chick, and he's like, bro, my sisters are black. And they're like, oh, because they would never say it around a black person. They would never say it to a black person's face. They would never say it to their black friend. But in the group of whiteness and white males, they feel like, oh, I got to, and like, there's no reason for it. And you're like, you were cool. Why would you do that? You didn't need to do it. And you did it anyway. So,
yeah. I will openly admit that 2010 was my awakening to the gay lifestyle. Like I hadn't had any experience with it, and suddenly I was found myself in a position where I had a lot of gay friends, and it gave me an opportunity to actually ask questions and learn and change my entire perspective. And I thought I was good to go, having, I've got a black wife, I've got mixed kids and this and that, and I thought I was kind of good to go. And then when the George Floyd thing popped off, I took a conscious effort to examine myself and my internal biases and like try to recognize where I'm failing my ideal of who I should be. And it really changed a lot of my own perspective, and spent a lot of time in retrospect looking back at the ways I had treated people in the past, and decided I'm not going to be that fucking person anymore. Like, that's not who I want to be. But again, you don't, as a white dude, you don't see the misogyny that's built in the system, the racism that's built in the system, and the way that you've had, like, I've probably had microaggressions against untold numbers of people without realizing it. But now that I know what to look for, kind of, I'm still not perfect, and I'm never going to know exactly, because I'm not going to live the female life or the black life or the Hispanic life. Like, I'm never going to know the true end of it. But the more I learn, the more I know, and the more I know, the more I can affect, and not, if not be a positive influence, at least be a less negative influence as I learn and as I understand. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is it's not about being perfect. It's about being less bad than you were yesterday, and continuing a positive trend of understanding your privilege, whatever that privilege may be, and whoever you may be with that privilege, and trying to not let it influence who you are to the people around you.
And without me, hijacking that statement that you made, which is a good statement, self-reflection, self-understanding, self-scouting is important. If you didn't know, this is a FYI podcast. It's a fuck you in advance podcast, because sometimes I might say something that makes you upset with me, but just know that I told you to go fuck yourself first. I love and hate everyone equally. There are good people in the world. There are bad people in the world. There are good gays. There are bad gays, lesbians, trans, black, white, orange, Asian, whatever. There's just so many good people, and there's so many shitty people. I don't have the time to hate you individually. I've got to just take it as what it is, and go from incarnation, because the thing that in all the communities, so even like, as you said, as a white male, the one thing about, and as a general statement, the black community, so many in the black community use religion to hate on gays and say it's against religion and the God. And I was like, okay, you're doing and using the same tools that were used against you against a group of people. Now, when I have a black friend and they're like, oh, I was like, what are you talking about? They used to say you didn't deserve to be married to anyone. Then you could get married to blacks, but then you couldn't be married to whites. Then they told you you don't deserve love, you don't deserve freedom, you don't deserve happiness. So when you, and then at the end of it, when all of it all falls down, we said, well, it's against God. No matter how you want to flip and dip the Bible, certain things are general. Thou shalt not judge. You leave it up to the big guy. So if the Bible did say don't be gay, he didn't tell you to judge the people, to crucify the people, to jail the people. That's his job. Ye without something, throw the first stone. I can't remember the quote, but you know what it is. But people do it, and they do it against their own kind. They do it against other people and other races. And so, you as being a white man, it's not just you. I have a lot of people in the Native American community, and they've got different segments of people that are just against them. Asians, some Asians don't like blacks. Some Asians don't like other Asians. Some Africans don't like American blacks. Like you pick all these reasons to go against, and so it's not just not to make you feel better, but it's not just the white race that does these things with the microaggressions. We all have these little subsets of things and biases that we just need to get over. And I'm just waiting for aliens to come down and go pew pew pew, because that's the only time we seem to band together in the Star Trek movies. Once somebody bigger and badder comes down and will say, "I don't care if you're a white guy, a black guy, you're all dead." How about that? Yep. So, good for you for checking in on yourself and trying to learn more things and different things. How long you been married?
2008. It is now 2022. So next month will be 14 years.
14 years. I tell you what.
This time.
For those of you who don't know, his wife is amazing. She's a wonderful person. I'm not saying I steal her, but I'm here for her in case something happens to you. Okay, Robin? If something happens to you, I'm here for your wife because she is amazing. I'm happy for you to have such a positive and loving and fun and no nonsense person in your life, because you need somebody to keep you on track. You need somebody to keep you in line. I can't be here all the time to keep you on the straight and narrow. So knowing that she's out there doing what she's supposed to do, I appreciate her being in your life. You got a good woman.
I will say that she's not my better half, though. She's more like my better 90%.
I was about to say, I was about to call it 3/4 or something, 3/4 plus. Yeah. You bumped it up to 90. That math adds up, And we know math's a strong suit, so we know how that goes.
Yeah, she is amazing. She is she's everything that I wanted in a woman. She's creative in the kitchen. She's creative with her insults. She's witty when she needs to be. She is calm and collected when she needs to be. She knows how to be a traditional man's woman, like, the traditional wife that is there to serve her husband. She also knows how to wear the pants of the family and take charge of whatever situation she's in. She's my queen. She's my princess. Like, there's nothing that woman cannot accomplish. Plus, she's fucking hot. And I'm just like, not that counts for much for some people. For me, it matters a lot, and she's hot. So I said it.
And cherry on top, she tolerates me.
This is true. This is true.
She tolerates me. I like to say that she loves me, but you always correct me like, she likes you. Like she puts up with you. Like you never let me get the full love. You like she puts up with you. Let's just leave it at that. But I like to think she loves me in her heart, because she does tolerate my foolishness.
You got to keep things a little conservative once in a while. Just I'm not trying to let you bruise my ego by admitting how much my wife likes you. All right, that's where we're getting at there.
Like I said, at least she tolerates my foolishness and lets me deal with that. How are the kids doing?
They are doing awesome. We've got several kids in college right now, and one kid in high school, one kid in elementary school. We've got the full spectrum.
Yeah, you still got a whole lot of parenting left to do. You still got a whole lot of parenting.
My youngest is 9.
Yes,
and I'm pretty sure she's going on 30. So
yeah. I mean, going on 30 and staying there till they're 30. I mean, you might be.
Yeah,
you still got a good 8 years left. I'm like, my daughter just hit high school, so I'm looking at this 4-year plan, and trying to get her out into the world. But at the same time, too, I was like, when you got good kids, she can stay as long as she wants to, save, build up, go to school, do whatever, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to do, and you got good kids that, listen to your wisdom enough, not fully, but they pay attention to you, and they respect your parenting style. So that's the best you can ask for as a parent, when you're trying to help your kids and be there for your kids, especially knowing now that you grew up with essentially what it seems like without a father or a good role model as a father, and to turn around and be the kind of man that I know you to be and caring as I know you to be. And, you know, we talked about it earlier, like, because we both have daughters, and you were talking about throwing a period party. I mean, I'm not even that good of a dad. And everybody knows how much I love my daughter, but I couldn't throw it a party, though. You know, you out here throwing parties, you know what I mean? So it's nice to hear that growing up without that kind of statement, and then you turned around to become, you know, the dad that you would have always wanted for yourself, I assume, you know?
Yeah. I will tell you, if you're watching this and you have a daughter and she goes through her first period and you're a dude and you shy away from it and you try to ignore it, she'll spend the rest of her life shying away from and trying to ignore her period. It's not something she can avoid. It's a natural process. It's best if you just reach out there, you embrace it, you help her understand it, and tell, and she will get more of her lifestyle of reaction to her period from the way you treat that first one than she will from anything anyone else gives her. Because when she's ashamed of her period, it's because of what she thinks men are going to think about it. And if you set that tone that it's normal, it's to be celebrated because it's now a new function of her life, and it's a new moment for her, she will, from that point on, in my experience with 4 daughters, 3 of which had period parties, she will just take that and understand it's a normal part of life and not be ashamed of herself and her body when that happens.
And so again, piggyback off that, we talked about this earlier just because we have daughters, we're talking about things. My daughter, I didn't throw a period party, but when she got to being around 9 or 10, and, you know, she was telling me about the stages of her becoming a woman, I thought to myself, you know, I've had sisters. I know what it's like for them to have to go through getting their period and things like that. But I was like, as a dad and being split custody, I wanted to be prepared if she got her period when she was with me or we were out somewhere. So not that we're sponsored by this company or anything like that, but it's called My Lola, LOLA.com. For all the guys out there, especially single fathers or dads, like, you could go there and you could order like a period kit, and it's like my first period, and it gives you like a breakdown of how to use pads and do all these things and all the things that a girl needs to get started. And I suggest to all dads, like, yo, just buy it and keep it in the truck or the car or in the house, just so in case the wife's not home, or if you're, again, single father, you got it ready to roll for when she comes to you and says, Dad, this is what it is. Because, again, like you said, you don't want to shy away, but a lot of guys don't know what to do. And I just like this site because they had the kit, and their products are quality products and things like that. So even if you just bought that and had it ready for your daughter, and like you said, just to be there for her. I'm not baking period cakes and throwing parties, but I never wanted her to not be able to come to me and talk to me about it. And again, as a guy, as a dad, you just need to be there. And if you buy this kit, you don't have to go scramble to go run and buy 92 products at the store because you don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hoping to get the right one.
Yeah, this kit, the first kit came with a heavy pad, a light pad, a medium pad, a tampon. Like, it came with all wipes, and it came with all kinds of stuff that I would have been the dad sitting there like, yo, give me aisle 7. Just put aisle 7 in the cart. I get home, I throw it in the room like it's a grenade and be like, here, use 8 of them if you want to. But, you know, just to get yourself going. And again, it's about being a dad and being a good parent. And not just being a father to your sons, as it were, but being there for your girls. It goes a long way for how women view themselves in all things and in the future.
Yeah. Don't let your ego damage hers.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like when they need something. You know, I've corrected a couple of guy friends where they're like, "Oh, go ask your mom," and I'm like, "Dude, she told you she needs to go to the store to go get something. You take her."
Yep.
She came and asked you. You know what I mean? Like, don't make her wait till her mom comes home or whatever. Like, she actually came to ask you. You know what I'm saying?
That's a big step in and of itself.
Yeah. And not for nothing, the 3 times I brought it up to dudes, I'm like, not only that, she asked you when I was around. Like, because she needs it, and she needs it now. That, you know, because it's not easy for him to come and say, hey, Dad, can you take me to the store? I'm trying to, you know, but like, you're in here playing video games with somebody else. Like, you've got to take the time for your children, male or female, even if the thing's a little uncomfortable or a little weird, and you think it is, you're married to a woman. You're hooked up with a woman. You know that there's things that women need. If you're out here doing stuff, take care of a regular woman. You definitely got to take care of your daughter and your child. So,
yep. Especially when they can't go and do it themselves. Like, I don't.
That's our period PSA. Yeah. Men, don't be shying away from it out here in these streets. Help these girls out.
No. And if you don't know what's up and you're a single dad, reach out to one of your other dad friends or whatever and get the lowdown on it. Like, hey man, what's this about? Just learn.
Like I said, I should get a referral link, because I've sent many a single father to mylola.com and all be like, yo, this thing was great, brother. This thing was great. Like I get a lot of guys that like bought it in advance, had to sit around for 6 months, and then they needed it. They're like, man, thank you. And I'm like, because I tell every time I got a guy friend, I'm like, yo, you got your daughter, man, you can go grab this thing for her. And they all hit me back later like, oh man, thank you. Good looking out, bro. Good looking out. So you definitely got to be prepared. What are you working on now? What's going on in the streets now? What are you doing out here for giggles? You're done with the military, right?
Yep, done with the military. As you can tell by the beard and the edibles I have over here on my shelf.
Thank goodness he didn't become president. English would have been wiped out of existence. Carry on.
Gone. I currently I'm an associate producer for DTNS, Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt, Sarah Lane.
Merritt. Love Sarah. Tom Merritt. Love Sarah.
I'm doing that, and then I've got several independent contracts on the side of helping people out with the podcasting space, editing, producing, building projects, things like that. And then I'm always looking for the next new project, something to fill the time and bring in the money.
If you want to sound better, hire my boy Robin Amos, Ethan Kane. Okay. If you want your file system to be labeled correctly and in order, hire your boy. If you want it jangled, messed up, you can't find it for 6 months, I'm right here for you. All right. I lost 2 episodes of DocTales for a good year and a half, which is also one of the reasons why I stopped doing it, because I got so frustrated myself. I named stuff, it went to the ether, and I was like, oh, maybe if I did a better job, searching would be helping me right now. But again, don't hire me. Hire that guy right there. He can help you out in the streets. All the links and information will be in the bio for my boy. And it was good talking to you. I appreciate you coming on me for the relaunch of DocTales.
I'm sure this is only the first of a couple of these conversations we can have, because we barely even scratched the surface. And again, for the viewers, I'm sorry I didn't have an illustrious guest on to start. I just, when you got to walk before you crawl, and for a guy that didn't play sports, I'm just over here hype man and trying to get back into the groove of doing a show. You know what I mean? Last thing I want to do is call up Barack and say, hey, come on to DocTales, and I ain't got my feet underneath me yet. So we got to start. We got to start with this to get to where we want to be. You know what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? That's it. Robin wasn't that bad. He had a couple good stories. Somebody jumped him and beat him up. He didn't play sports. We're all going to be scratching our heads about that. This is a 6'2" grizzly bear living in Alaska, man. He is a man's man. I just imagine him roaming through the woods like a wildebeest, dragging logs to the fire to feed the children. And he over here telling me he was woo in high school. I can't stand it. I'm your boy Owen JJ Stone, aka O Doctor. This has been DocTales. Like I said, stuff's in the description. Go do your job. Click the buttons if you like. And we're out.